Hi there. Thanks for coming along to our breakfast event to showcase some of our micro-learning speakers around project and program management. We're not quite ready yet. We're still sorting things out, getting the technology up and running so we can all be ready for you. So in the meantime, have a look at a few of these snippets and it'll give you a bit of a taster as to some of the other micro-learning modules that we've got, some of the speakers we've got coming up in store over the next 12 months. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Cheers.
Projects in the OGC world, in MSP and Prince world, exist to deliver outputs. And what do we mean by it? Oh, PMI calls them deliverables. It's a thing. Usually it means you can have your photograph taken next to it. You know, you can, if you can tap it, it's an output.
Risks and issues on programs.
So when you've got a whole load of things on your risk register, have a look through them and go, what are the causes that we have? What are the big answers to lots of these things? But it's useful to say, am I looking at an effect or a cause when you're looking at the risk register?
Oh, hi. Thanks for coming back. We're still getting the cameras ready. We're still getting everyone positioned so we can do the broadcast really well for you. So look, have a look at a few more of these micro-learning snippets. So you get a bit of a taster of what's in store. Again, talk to you soon. Thanks for hanging by. Cheers.
What are the benefits of vaccinating children against flu? Well, presumably it means the kids don't get flu. They can go to school, their exam scores improve, their education improves. They don't give flu to other kids at school. That's good. That's a benefit. It's a measurable improvement. We can measure the amount of days that kids have off school because they do measure it. We can do this stuff.
A team member may say something like, this new project is negatively affecting our team, and that's not being taken into consideration at all. So an active listener could respond by reflecting back. What I'm hearing you say is this new project will have negative consequences for your team. So I'm not parroting back, I'm reflecting back what I'm hearing in my own words.
Oh, hi. Thanks very much again for joining us. Now, we're just showing you a few of these snippets, so you've got a bit of a taster of what the micro-learning is all about. We've got a couple of presenters coming up shortly to speak to you. It's all sort of around the micro-learning of the project and program managers. So we're still getting the lights all sorted and getting the microphones on and things like that. So just bear with us for a few more moments and you should be good to go, okay? So we'll definitely be seeing you soon. Cheers.
Project, Program and Portfolio Management Maturity Model, P3M3 Maturity Levels.
So at level 1 maturity, which we call awareness, yeah, so there's kind of a process awareness, they are kind of the fun places to work, right? Because every project's exciting for them because they've got no idea what's going to happen.
Establishing an enterprise project management office.
One of the key things is spending a lot of time on problem definition. understanding, and obviously the same for projects, right? What are we actually trying to resolve here? Are we all clear? Are we all agreed? It takes a lot of time to do that.
I don't know. Is this the right table? I can't work it out. Look, we're going to be just taking a little bit longer to get this ready. We've got a few cables here that we're not quite sure where they're meant to go. But once we've got those in, we'll be up and running. So look, keep enjoying yourself watching these micro learning snippets. They'll no doubt give you a bit of knowledge around project and program management. So yeah, talk to you soon. Cheers.
Ponder this. We typically divide projects into work packages. We divide programs into projects. There's inevitably an overlap. Should I run a big complicated project with big complicated work packages? Or should I run a simple program with specific projects in it? One person's big complicated work package is another person's simple project. And organizations will make different choices.
Multiple diverse infections.
When they scan your temperature, if it was above 37 or something, you were a potentially Ebola carrier. Now, the problem is in a country like Sierra Leone, you've got humidity, it's hot, we're right in the midst of malaria season, and then you've got huge HIV cases going on as well.
Kia ora whānau to those in New Zealand, Australia and beyond. Welcome to the CC Learning Networking event. We bring you project management professionals worldwide to share ideas, learnings and experiences in project management. I'm broadcasting from Brisbane, Australia. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land we meet today, the Yagara people and the Turrbal people of Meanjin. I pay my respects to Yagara and Turrbal elders, past, present and emerging, who pass their culture and knowledge on through oral storytelling, song and dance. There's no dancing, I don't think so anyway, or singing planned today. Fortunately for you, my dancing's pretty good, but my singing is not so great. We will, however, be using oral storytelling to share the wisdom and knowledge gained from experiences in project management. In that way, we hope to blend cultures and histories together. So today we're going to be discussing the principles of PRINCE2 version 7 and how these ensure successful project management outcomes. I welcome those worldwide joining online via YouTube, Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm broadcasting from Brisbane on a warm spring, nearly summer afternoon. I extend a warm welcome to Tanja Van Den Akker from Rijswijk in the Netherlands, close to The Hague. How was my pronunciation there, Tanja? That's great. It's definitely good to have you. I think it's pretty cool. We had visitors from Portugal last time, and of course we have Andy in the UK. So we're managing to reach out to lots of places around the world. Which is pretty exciting to think that down here and down under in Australia and New Zealand, we're still making connections with people halfway around the world. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I feel pretty special being invited on your show. So thank you.
Oh, good. No worries at all. Those expecting Andy to have joined us, well, he's busy on the conference circuit, traveling, obviously promoting PRINCE2 version 7 and various other activities. Next week, we're going to be not having him either, but we'll be having a presenter, so I'll send you a message about that soon. Today, we're discussing PRINCE2 principles in the new PRINCE2 version 7 guide, which Tanja worked on. I'll steal the thunder here and say there are still 7. And from what Tanya told me, they're pretty much the same as before. But I guess that might make improving an already agreed set of principles a challenge, I guess. So we'll hear from Tanya in a second. For those joining us live, please ask questions via YouTube or LinkedIn chat. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube and LinkedIn channels for future notifications. And remember to continue the conversation and post messages online in your workplace. It would help us if you shared this event to promote it for next time. So even if someone signs up after, they still get the recording, so it's never too late. So Tanya, tell us firstly, how were you approached to do this authorship of the
That was brilliant. It was presented to me like a sort of a mystery. So John Edmonds reached out. I know him from a previous course, and he said, "Well, are you interested in writing?" And I write quite a bit, so the answer is obviously yes. But I didn't know what it was about, and it took quite a while for them to reveal it because I had to sign the NDA. And I said, "Well, what am I signing an NDA for?" "Well, we can tell you." So when finally the word came out, it was about a new version of Prince2. I was thrilled, but it was quite mysterious for a long time.
Very cool. I like the whole sort of cloaks and daggers thing. Maybe meeting on the corner street at night somewhere and things like that, passing over the
With the
manuscript
raincoat
that you've done. Exactly. Now, to start with, just to make sure everyone's clear about what we're talking about, I'm sure everyone who's connected and knows about Prince2, but might not recall the principles. And this is going to be a bit torturous for you, of course, because a lot of your life was spent dealing with these principles. But can you give us a brief summary or a quick summary of each of the principles? And if you need a reminder, just let me know, because I've got the book right here in front of me. Okay, so
that's good to know. It would be so awkward not to pass 4 or something like that. No, so basically they're the same. There's a small change in the actual wording of the principles itself. Continued business justification is still there. To make sure that from before starting until the end, there's a good a why behind the project. There's still roles and responsibilities like it was before, but now relationships have been included. And I think that sort of reflects the whole change of more attention and focus on the people factor in projects. So far, Prince2 sort of left that out of their scope, only touching upon it indirectly. And with Joe Lucas, her contribution to the book, there's more focus on people, and that's also reflected in these principles. So you want to have a clarity on who is responsible for what, who will take care of what, and make sure that the relationships in the project remain strong so that there's trust and a good collaboration. Managed by stages is still there. So you want to, I don't often say divide and conquer, but it sounds a bit aggressive. You want to have manageable blocks of your project and pick up one in detail at the time. You want to manage by exception, involve the next level in the project when decisions need to be made, and not just have fixed meetings on fixed times to discuss the project. So it gives focus on when something needs to happen. I'm losing the order here. This is what I was afraid of. You have to tailor, of course. You have to, and we'll touch upon that later, because there's now a difference between applying and tailoring, and it's slightly different than before. So that's, I think, interesting to touch upon. You focus on products still there, because in the end you want an output to enable you to get to a benefit or more benefits. So whatever you do should lead to that particular output. So the focus is still on products, and learn from experience, of course. How far am I now? Am I at 7 yet? So we want to learn from previous projects. We want to forward any learnings that we've gained throughout the project. And we want to learn, of course, during the project, improving the way you work together, improving testing, improving how to get to the right quality, etc.
So I guess the changes for you are changes that the other authors implement, right? So the other authors make changes, which then mean that
Yeah.
you've got to, like the introduction of the people chapter, which we spoke to Joe just a couple of weeks ago actually about the people chapter, and so she told us all about that. And I hadn't thought, wow, that's going to actually have an influence on effectively maybe even all of those principles. That'd be right. I mean, I guess it would touch on all of them.
Yeah, well, I guess that would be too much honor for me, though. The principles were basically already there. The changes in the relationships, and the remainder is I think we changed the noun to a verb, to a verb. So I don't think that changed the writing a whole lot in the remainder of the book. But I do like the principles. They're the basis on behind underneath the PRINCE2, and they give you guidance on how to apply it in a manageable way for your project. As long as you have this compass, you'll be fine.
I wondered whether you were chosen because you had a particular passion for principles, very principled person.
Maybe I didn't ask. I was so into it, right, that I didn't even ask. Why me?
And once you were given the rundown, what was your brief? Did they say right from the outset, don't change any of them, or
No.
was it a case
No.
of we've got all this feedback, can you sort through it and work out what we should be doing?
No, I think my brief was brief, actually. So I think the team would have been open to change principles or add a principle or leave out a principle if we would have deemed that necessary. But the instruction or the assignment, the brief was more about giving examples, making it more tangible and understandable of what the principles would mean. So there are all sorts of short examples of how a principle could be implemented in a small project or big project or agile project or a compulsory project. So that I think that was the main guidance beforehand. Oh, my sound is gone.
It hasn't gone. It was me.
Oh,
you're back there.
I thought I'd run out of battery.
No, that's okay.
You had me
think it was
spooked
me.
there.
It's that classic faux pas of not unmuting yourself. I guess that you pretty much were given an open book, right? Just like the exams, a sort of open book exam type thing, and said, hey, make the changes that the authoring team feel is necessary. And I guess you were the gatekeeper, right? So making sure that it all hung together, which is pretty cool. Secondly, can you tell us about any significant changes? I believe there's not, but you mentioned before about the relationships and applying versus tailoring. Can you tell us about the add-on for relationships and the differences between applying and tailoring now?
Sorry, I don't understand the question about relationships.
So what I mean is that there was a principle called define roles and responsibilities, and now it says define roles and responsibilities in relationships, which I guess is the influence of the people chapter, right?
Yeah. So I think it's good that the value and need for proper and solid relationships between the members of the projects and others involved. I think it's good that it's emphasized. But I don't know how to elaborate on that.
I can imagine that Joe Lucas was probably quite instrumental in ensuring that relationships between people was introduced somewhere. During that.
I think she did a really good job because there's so much to say about it in terms of change management. About people and the people factor in projects but PRINCE2 is not a change management certification, it's a project management certification. So I think she made a good balance between adding that people factor and not trying to combine those two into one book.
And what about the difference
Applying.
between,
Yeah.
the difference between applying and tailoring? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Before we called everything that you would decide on in the use of the method tailoring. Oh, you tailor it because you combine roles for one person to fulfill, and that's tailoring. And the discussion was then, well, isn't it actually applying the method, because it's not exotic. You need to decide how the method fits to the project that you're actually going to work on. So I think it's good to distinguish between that and say, okay, actually making the method fit within every element that's there that you can use within PRINCE2 is actually applying. And then when you decide to combine methods or have other quality management system elements not being PRINCE2, then it's tailoring. And both is good and necessary, but it's good. I think it acknowledges the possibilities of PRINCE2.
And did you guys come to that from some experience of actually on projects? I mean, is this the community contributing this, or was it an aha moment when you're writing that particular part of tailoring?
It came up. I had quite a few one-on-one conversations with Andy and John, and it came up in one of those conversations, and we decided to add it to the chapter.
Okay, oh, very cool. And does it have did it have any impact on the remainder of the book? Was there any sort of changes that had to be followed through?
That's a bit hard for me to say, because we worked in a sort of spokeswheel model or a star model, depending on how you want to call it. So I spoke to Andy or John, and the other authors did as well, and we did have group meetings, but it wouldn't go in quite such a detail. So I'm not sure I saw a big impact in the other chapters. It will probably reflect here and there, but I think they will be able to tell you better than I can.
So I know you're a trainer delivering PRINCE2 training. Do you feel as though that helped or altered the way you looked at your chapter? You know, is it something that you've been training for a while and you're like, oh, great, I can get into it and fix all the bits that I thought weren't quite right, or explain things in a different way, or you knew what was confusing? You know, how did being a trainer have an effect on your sort of your touch on the methodology?
I think in several ways. In the back of my head, I have questions that I've heard often, or examples that land well, or that give an insight that not every candidate has beforehand. I also have in the back of my mind the audience of the trainings that I have, and not everyone is a full-time project manager of large projects. So I think my voice in the team was sometimes to remind that there's a audience of people who have projects on the side. So you're an HR or marketing or a technical professional, and you do projects next to your first job. Is that a good way to say that in English?
I refer to them as the accidental project managers.
And there are a lot of those in the Netherlands. I if I would estimate, I think 6 or 7 out of 10 in our courses do projects part-time. Maybe accidental is maybe too small, but it's not filling their complete working week. So you have a different need from a method.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess all the principles still apply, right? So
they do. Yeah, and I think that's a really handy tool if you work on mid-size or smaller projects to keep in mind, okay, if I stick to these principles, I have a pretty solid foundation for my project. Yeah. On the other hand, there's a drawback as well. As a trainer, I've been training since project management since 2002, and you can become a sort of convinced of what you've been telling for years, and then you need to be open to new ideas. So sometimes I found, why am I against this idea? Is it because it's not a good idea, or just that I'm not accustomed to it?
That's a very good segue into my next question, which is about the influence of the PMI authors, which we'll be interviewing one on the 6th of November. Brad Bigelow, I think, is the,
Yeah.
is the author there. I'm interested to hear how his influence, being from a PMI perspective, which is, arguably the largest project management organization in the world, with chapters all over the place in just about every country. And PRINCE2's come from the UK government originally, and therefore being very UK-centric, whereas PMI is considered to be US-centric. And I'm sure you, like me, consider the methodologies to be compatible, not opposing. But how did the PMI, the Project Management Institute guidance ideas and things affect you, and how you were looking at the principles?
Yeah, I don't know if I can say that Brad is PMI, but he has a lot of PMI knowledge, and he conducts courses in relation to PMI. That's my understanding, but you better check with him, of course. But it's important when you use a method worldwide that you get influences from all over the world as well when you do an update. And he was a strong advocate of the work breakdown structure, and I struggled with it. And we actually had quite a long, a lengthy conversation yesterday at the end of the day. In which we try to compare notes and try to get a better understanding of how that would fit into the PRINCE2 product-based planning. And well, he said, in sometimes it's easier to bundle the work rather than having lower levels of sub products. And he said, well, do you in practice make a breakdown structure of each PRINCE2 management product? And I said, well, no, no. So you could say, I'm going to cluster that as project management stuff or something like that. But in the conversation, I'm so trained to think in products, and he says, well, if you renovate your kitchen, the demolished kitchen is not a product. And I say, yes, it is. It is a product. So it's I guess it's what you're used to, and what we both agreed on was it needs to serve the purpose. It needs to help you do a better project. And to be sure, he mentioned at least 10 times to me, I don't want to replace the product breakdown structure with a work breakdown structure. You can choose to make a work breakdown structure after the product breakdown structure. But it's if you dive into it online, there's a lot of sort of contradictive stuff online and blogs and articles. And at some point I found a work breakdown structure, which was exactly the product breakdown structure I use in my courses. So I was quite confused. Of a bicycle.
Oh, bicycle. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I guess in a way, was your conclusion that I'm interested to hear when we interview Brad. I'm gonna quiz him on this. So
You should.
I'm looking to get your side of things, or your perspective, and maybe use that as a way of saying, okay, how do we deal with these things? Because it seems to me like a work breakdown structure was only really mentioned in passing on the previous version, right? And now it's much more significant. Yeah, it's much more significant. It's considered to be, and I think it's because people think about the work they do, right? It's like a what's in it for me. The work, what's in it for me is I've got to do some things. And so I guess maybe there's that human aspect of what we are used to. When I write down a list of things to do for the day, I'm writing down activities. I'm not saying the cleaned car. I'm saying got to clean the car. So, yeah, I'm
But if
guessing
you're
maybe that's...
yeah, if you've been teaching up to 6, you might say the clean car.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, true. And there's
That's
only Prince2 trainers write their to-do lists with
is
deliverables, not actions or activities.
is professional deformation. Is that an English term?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've just talked about that. Was there anything else about PMI or the PMI concepts that you had to take on board or consider? I know you talked about the work breakdown structure, but what else was there? Anything else?
No, I think that was the most remarkable topic for me. And in relation to that, we had a discussion whether you would contract a party for a next number of hours or to realize a certain output. And Brad and I have quite different experiences. I've worked on small and mid-sized projects for the Dutch police force, for Kuwait Petroleum, and he has experience on very large projects for NATO and the EU. So I guess in different projects you get different dynamics, and I would feel a bit uncomfortable saying, okay, I want 200 hours of programming from you. I would want to try and agree on what the software would do in the end. And
Okay.
Brett says, well, that's not how it would work in such a large project. So from different backgrounds, you have different experiences and different ways of what would work best.
So this is an extension to that difference between the two types of,
But there weren't. I'm
work
not
breakdown.
sure I saw other PMI influences as a specific and as the work breakdown structure.
Okay. Oh, very cool. Very cool. And with regards to the principles, do you have a favorite?
Oh, do I have a favorite? Oh, wow. I didn't see that one coming. Good question. I think I'll be the political mom, and I say I love them all equally.
Okay, it's just like everyone has a favorite child. You might not say it, but you do.
No, wow. Do I have a favorite? No, I don't. I really don't think so. I'm not. Yeah, no.
And of the principles, were there any that were particularly challenging to relate to a variety of different project contexts, such as large project versus small project? Because you talked about relating those principles like that. Were there any that posed particular challenges?
No. As the basics haven't changed that much. A lot of them I've been explaining, of course, for years in courses. But it was really wonderful to work with Andy and John, and at some point Andy gave examples that I had never thought of. So it was at the same time a learning experience for me as well. He explained that he worked on systems in supermarkets, and that they had a sort of can I call it a fake supermarket or a model supermarket where they would work overnight to get the change of the systems and test run it like that to see if they would if the timeline would be right, if they had the right pace to finish in the morning so that the supermarket would be open the next day. So no, it wasn't difficult. We had examples. I had examples for the principles for different types of projects. Maybe, of course, I try to find the most appealing ones. But it was also interesting to have the discussion with John and Andy and hear their examples.
Very cool. And did you have much interaction with the examination team? Because I tell you, a lot of Prince2 people who have done Prince2 exams curse those principles questions. So you might be getting daggers from people who are listening.
Okay, then just to be sure, I had nothing to do with that. don't. No, no, really. The coordination for that went through the Excellence team. I didn't have direct contact with the examination group, and it's to be fair, and it's really difficult to make good exam questions, and I'm pretty sure the team has a lot of experience in that field, so I think they will do a good job. But it's really hard to make good questions, so I don't envy them.
Well, I think you did a pretty good job, because the principles chapter is effectively the first chapter of the manual, other than the introduction. So, you know, if someone's reading it from front to back, which I know a lot of training courses do it in that direction, it would be the first time people are going to be introduced to some of these words and concepts. So the good thing is, you know, the attrition rate of people being enthusiastic through the manual, I mean, they'll definitely read your chapter first. So that must feel quite good.
Yeah, that is great, and my name is also on top of the authoring team, because my last name is with an A, so I'm a very lucky girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And another question I had was related to the tables. I noticed at the end of every practice, it used to be called themes, practice now, there's a table about the principles and how they relate. Were you involved with creating those tables as well?
No, hardly. I guess of course I was available, but there wasn't much need to. I think, again, because the principles in the spirit of it didn't really change that much, and Andy was with that every step of the way. So the authors were able to translate the principles to their own chapters. And Andy made sure that Andy and John, that it was aligned with my chapter. So no, it would have been fun, but well, if it's not necessary, it's not necessary.
No, that's right. That's good. Okay, that's excellent. So just to let everybody know, Jenny, our course admin, has asked me if I'll mention a few courses coming up. So if you or your staff are interested on booking on PRINCE2 benefits or change management courses, please let us know. We've got some courses coming up. The last PRINCE2 version 6 coming up on the 16th of October. I'm delivering that, so I'm going to be leaving for Wellington on Sunday and hanging out in Wellington for the week until I head back to Brisbane. So do sign up quickly for that, because you've only got one day to cook your course materials, but we can do quick. We're going to, and we do that remotely as well. So the live course will be broadcast to people all over New Zealand and in Australia. In October, we've also got an Agile Foundation Practitioner, PRINCE2 Agile course. We've got Managing Benefits coming up in the beginning of November, and a P3O course coming up on the 13th of November too. The first PRINCE2 Foundation Practitioner is starting on the 27th of November, if you're interested in that. And something else you might be interested in is I'm doing a PRINCE2 version 7 roadshow. So go onto our website, cclearning.cc, and visit our webpage and register to attend those events. So I'm going to Auckland, then to Hamilton, then to Tauranga, then to Rotorua, then down to Wellington, and then to Christchurch, or potentially Dunedin. So again, all of those are going to be broadcast. So please do sign up to be an online participant or a real face-to-face participant. So I'd just like to thank you, Tanja, for being here and being on the Project Outcome Show and being able to talk about the behind-the-scenes aspects of principles in the PRINCE2 version 7. So
it was an honor and a pleasure, Scott. Like I mentioned years ago, I downloaded your PRINCE2 quick reference card, and it's fun that I'm now in your show.
Oh, that's cool. That was the crazy colour card way back in those years ago when I was a contractor in the UK doing PRINCE2 version, I don't know, 3. I don't know what version it was. It was a long time ago. Sure. Let's not talk about that. It was just yesterday. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. For those who have registered, a link to the recording is going to be sent along with the request to provide us with feedback. Feel free to share the link with others. Thanks for coming. We look forward to seeing you at a future event. Ka kite whānau.